Hi my lovies, my name is Zimandelengema. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're a returning subby, thank you so much to 100 of you guys that have subscribed, and welcome back. If you are not a returning subby, maybe it's your first time seeing my videos, or if you've seen one of my videos before and then you thought, let me give her a second chance, thank you so much for coming back to this channel. And I hope that by the end of this video I would have convince you to press that subscribe and notification button. Today I am going to be giving you 10 tips that if you follow very well will keep you ahead, or will help you stay ahead and afloat at higher learning institutions. So we all know that higher learning institutions, it's very not easy. It's much more different from high school. They require more effort and more intention. So I'm here to help you with that. You don't have to go any further. You don't have to watch any other video. This is the video that you need to watch. So make sure that you watch up until the end so that you get all those tips, and make sure that you have a pen and a paper today, because I'm gonna need you to follow these very well, and I will need feedback by the end of the year how these have been working for you, and if you have tried anything else over and above these tips. After high school, I went to university, and I remember on our first week, I think, of lectures, they yes, lectures, not classes, honey. Okay. Levels, you have now. So yeah, on our first week of lectures, I remember we were in this lecture hall. It was like a huge lecture hall, and we were attending, I think it was a management class, if I'm not mistaken. Please, my fellow university associates, please remind me. So I think it was a management class, and then they said that look to your left and look to your right. One of you is gonna make it through the next year. And we laughed, we cracked in laughter, because honey, I was in a Become accounting class, right? And I was with like one of the best in the country. You know, like everyone in that class had like a couple of A's. Okay, I even didn't feel like I deserved to be in that class, with the way when I saw everybody's statements, like they were amazing statements. So we all like burst out in laughter, like haibo ukulumangan. And then the first and the second test came, and then we understood, okay, this is what first meant. So I'm trying to save you that disappointment this time, before because they will be late. I really think these 10 tips, I wish I started them earlier on, because it would have prevented me quite a few failures, because we all know at a higher learning institution, that's another thing. It really humbles you if you are I know some people that are very intelligent that have never failed a single test in their lives. When that starts happening, then they just like, say, I know some people really struggle with that when they start failing now, like, oh, hold on, I know I'm smart, like I've been passing my entire life, what is happening now? So one thing I'm going to tell you is that you are still smart. if you have written that test and then you're coming to this video, you have written that test and you have failed that first test, or you have failed the first 2 tests and you feel like you're not smart enough, the fact that you are sitting in that lecture hall and you are writing those tests means that you are smart enough and you qualify to be in that lecture hall. That's the first thing I'm going to tell you. And then the second thing I'm going to tell you is that at these higher learning institutions, it requires more than just being smart. You need to be very, very intentional. You need to be very disciplined. And you need to have like you need to have a work ethic, a great work ethic. That's just what I was looking for. You need to have a great work ethic and a plan, because if you are going to cruise your way just like you did at high school, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work at all. So I'm gonna need you to follow these tips. That's why I said that you need to write them down, because they're really, really important, and they can be a defining factor between you making it through even this year only, or like for like the future years of your higher learning institution. They can be the bridge between your graduation, completing your qualification, and you not completing your qualification. And then so, and also just another thing I just wanted to mention is that your grade metric results, I think I've already touched on that. Your grade metric results are just an entry requirement. They're not going to take you through your whole of university. Great, you had amazing metric results, congratulations, that's amazing. Now you need to start working, and you need to continuously prove yourself and continuously work on your qualification in order for you to make it through the end. It's only those ones that are intentional and that have a great work and that make it through the end. It's not the people that had the greatest metric results. There are people that will have 7 A's. In for example, in Become Accounting, you have people that have 7 A's that don't make it to the end, and they don't become CAs. And then you have people that went in, and then now I am a qualified CA because of these 10 tips. Okay, I'm gonna give you the first tip now. The first tip is that you need to do your pre-reading. You know what, on my first year of, I'll be honest, on my first year of university, I really didn't understand why the lectures were just going on and on about pre-reading. But as the years progress at university, I realized that, okay, cool, I think I understand. This is how pre-reading is helpful. When you pre-read, when you go to the lecture, you're not hearing this thing for the first time. You've already seen it before. Maybe you already have a few questions, and there's some stuff that you understand. When you get to the lecture is going to put that stamp first of all of what you already know and understand from reading the chapter. The second thing is that she or he is going to probably answer the questions that you had when you were reading the chapter before it was lectured to you. And third thing, you get an opportunity as well to actually ask the lecturer in the lecture if you have questions that you had noted down that you feel like they have not answered. So a great pre-reading technique is to just you need to go to how it worked with us is that they would give us the chapters that will be covered or topics that will be covered in lectures. Sometimes you're not going to be able to get through the whole chapters that are going to be read, but it helps to have an idea of what is going to be spoken about in the next lecture. So you go through those chapters, you read through them not very thorough, but just read through, get an understanding and get an idea of what the chapter is about or the section is about. If you have enough time, yes, read thoroughly, maybe even make notes there and there. Second thing that you need to do is to write down questions, or maybe stuff that you're not sure of. Maybe you're just not, maybe with a pencil. If you are reading from a book, not with a pencil, and see what's okay, I don't think I understand what this means, and all of that. And then those are the kind of questions that you're gonna just go through while the lecturer is going through the lecture, and tick through if they have covered them. If they have not covered them, then you can get an opportunity to ask those questions. So that's the first part, the pre-reading part, and it is very, very important, even though some people take it very lightly. And honestly, first year I also like one of those people, but later on in the years it really, really comes in handy. The second thing that you need to do that is also very important is to actually attend your lectures. I know no one is waking you up and telling you to go to and attend lectures. Most of the classes don't even have registers. I know some, like, the registers are part of your qualifying mark, but for some lectures it's not part of your qualifying class. So whether you attend or not, nobody cares. I'm telling you now that it's very, very important to attend those lectures. Firstly, if you had pre-read, then you can now listen to your lecturer and then do everything that I have mentioned in the pre-reading section. Another thing is that if you have not pre-read, then you have an opportunity to actually hear the lecturer talk about the topic. You can write notes, you can engage with the lecturer, ask questions, and all those things. It's very, very important. And sometimes there are things that lecturers say in lectures, and so like some examples, and actually they usually use better examples than those that are used in like a textbook and whatsoever, because like usually examples that are in textbooks are like very, very old examples. But if you are, like, for example, in a course like money and income accounting, like legislations change, rules change, laws change all the time, so they would use the most recent examples, which is very, very helpful for you to better understand a topic. Number 3, when you are in class, please take notes, guys. Like, take notes. I don't know why it is so difficult. Maybe it's because I'm a person who likes taking notes. I mean, everywhere I am, I have a diary and a pen, and I'm just taking notes. If I don't have my diary and my pen, I'm writing notes on my phone. I have notes about almost like everything. So, but it's very, very important to take notes in class, because you can always refer back to those notes. They're very, very helpful for the next section that I'm going to talk about now. So do take your notes, do listen in class, like attentively listen. Because I like, sometimes some people go into class just for being in class, or just for vibes, just to maybe to showcase fashion. I don't know. They have zero interest in class. So please do take notes in class. It's very, very important for better understanding. And also, I think there is a study as well about if you listen to it, you write it down, and then you read it later, there are higher chances of something like sticking in your brain, or lasting longer in your brain, than if you don't do the 3 things, or if you do maybe 2 of the 3, or you do 1 of the 3. So it is a study. I mean, I'm gonna try and look for this, Donna, and put it in somewhere here. But if I don't get a chance, trust me, bro. And then the 4th thing that you need to do, which goes hand in hand with attending class and taking notes, is actually post-reading. What I usually did with regards to post-reading is that I would take lecture slides, I would put them here, I'll take my textbook, put it here, I'll take the notes that I wrote in class, put it here, and I would just start reading through. So my lecture notes would guide me on, like, where am I reading now. So I'll just follow the sequence of my my lecture notes and go through my textbook. The reason why I take my textbook is because the textbook will obviously have more context and more meat. The lecture notes I guide for me, and then the notes that I took in class, I'm just like looking at them and seeing that if I missed anything, or if there's something interesting that was mentioned by a lecturer to better explain what is in the textbook, then I have those aha moments. And if there's something that is in the textbook or in the lecture notes that I feel like I need to add on my notes, then I add that onto my notes. The fifth thing that you need to do is which people like hate with passion, and I also didn't like to do until I realized how important it is, was to attend tutorials. I can do a tutorial. My goodness, the mind-blowing stuff that come through tutorials, guys. There's this one time, let me tell you a story. There's this one time where I did not attend the lecture, right? And it was an accounting lecture, and the lecturer actually gave questions in the lecture, in the tutorial class, and then if you didn't attend the tutorial, then you don't get the question, right? So they did this question. I think it was like groups consolidations or something. Till this day, angifuni nje consolidations, but asikho lapho. So, and then it was this consolidation, and then next thing we had a test, and the question similar came out in the test. And I remember coming out of the test so confused. I'm like, I don't remember us going through this in lectures. People were so happy. People that attended the tutorial were very, very happy. Like, oh my God, yeah. It's what we did in the tutorial. I'm like, what tutorial are you talking about? That was the last time I skipped the tutorial. From then I attended those tutorials religiously. Okay, so please do attend the tutorials. Lecturers tend to drop some very nice questions there, or go through some nice questions there that usually come out in tests or in exams. So obviously you want to have higher chances of passing that exam, so attending your tutorial helps you with that. Another thing that helps you go a tutorial is that you are hearing that they usually, my favorite tutors are people that actually summarize the section in the tutorial before we start the actual tutorial question. They are lifesavers. I don't know if they know how great that thing is, because now it gives you like another, uyayizwa futhi lento lena ichazwa again, which is very, very helpful for you, because it helps it's like stick in your brain, and also just that going through those questions as well is really very helpful, because now you get some practice with someone before you go and do it again at home. And then the sixth thing that you need to do is to attempt tutorial questions. I think attending a tutorial, if you didn't attempt the tutorial question, sometimes is really not useful, because you are just confused the whole time, because amanyama tutors, they just like going through the solution. But okay, they're like, okay, right, you already read the question, okay, so in A you need to do this, in B you need to do this, so if you didn't do the question, or if you didn't attempt the question, you are now lost. You don't know what's going on. Now you're trying to read the question and also listen to what the person is saying. Now you are not getting 100% in English, guys, you're not getting 100% of like worth, 100% worth of the tutorial now, because when usa figure out so please attempt your questions, so that when you get to the tutorial, then you understand what's going on and you get the full juice of that tutorial. After 1 to 6, another thing that I used to do was to, before I'm gonna touch on number 7 shortly, but another thing that I used to do was to just attempt more questions to make sure that I understand the topic now. So I'll do them blindly, I'll look for solutions, and then I'll mark myself to see that, okay, I fully understand this question, this section. If you still don't understand it, then step number 7, consulting. I wouldn't advise you to consult like all the time, but make it a habit to consult, especially if you don't understand something. So my advice for consulting is you need to follow these steps. You need to have attended the lecture, went to the tutorial, attempted questions, and still feel like, okay, you don't understand, then you go to the to consult, so that you can be specific to say that, okay, I don't understand ABC. You can't get to the consultation and be like, I don't understand everything. That is impossible. So you need to get to the lecture, to the consultation, and say that, okay, I don't understand ABC. Number 2 is that now lecturers have introduced this thing of actually booking consultations. So instead of like walk-ins. So I think that to avoid disappointments, make sure that you book your consultation in advance, and instead of just pitching, because then sometimes you get there and then it's full, or the lecturer is not there, then you get discouraged, and you like the odds are that you're not gonna go back. So make sure that you make that reservation or you book that consultation, so that you to avoid the disappointment and to make sure that you actually go to that consultation. So after I've done all these steps from number 1 to number 7, I had a book, right? I don't know actually what happened to those books, because I was thinking that I would actually give it away to students, but by the time that I remember I had a mentee that I wanted to give those books to, and then by the time Anganga was, but I had moved so much anyway, so I don't blame it. So you need to have a book for each and every module that you do, and you need to summarize each section. It doesn't have to be each chapter, it can be each section that you do, you summarize it. How is that helpful? Number 1, when you are summarizing it, now you are writing it down for the how many at the time now? This probably for the 4th, 5th time you're writing it down. It's sticking more in your head. That's the first thing. The second thing is that when you now have to study for a test, you don't have to go back to notes and what are these things now, slides and all of that, and look at that and stuff. You can just take out your notebook and a summary, and then you can just go through that and study with that and attempt more questions. If you're not sure, go back to your notes, your summarized notes. They were written by you. You're going to write them in a way that you understand, instead of when you have to study for tests, now you're going back to your script notes, you're going back to, it's just more structured. For me, I found them very, very, very helpful. I remember I did that a lot in my final year of my degree, and then some of those notes I used them in my post-grad year as well, because they were still very, very useful, especially for that monster that we call management accounting. But yeah, guys, I'm not gonna become accountant, but anyways, that really scarred me. But yeah, so they're very, very helpful. Summarizing your notes is, I think, even if you don't do, they're also very important, but this one is the one for me. It was really, really, really helpful. And number 9, take a step back. And you know what, the one downfall about us at higher learning institution is that you get so thrown into data that you forget you're actually studying to be a professional. So manje you're so into data, yabona ukubona iy'ngane kids when they're being like taught ABCD, like usayicela umuntu ABCD, they don't even understand what it means. Don't be that person now at university ukuthi data uyazi from A to B, but you don't know how it applies in your like in real life. How are you going to apply that when you are when you are working? So always take a step back and think, okay, how does this apply in real life? Especially if like you are studying those qualifications that are like the qualifications, 90% of them are like practical ones, but like there are some that it's not easy for you to imagine it if you are not yet in the profession, but to some of them you can like relate. For example, my sister studied IT, and this one time it was career day at church, and then she was just talking about like I'll never forget this happened in like 2015 1600. She probably forgot she told the story, but I'll never forget it because it stuck with me. And then she said something around like when she goes to an ATM and withdraws cash, for her it's not about like, she doesn't just think about the money that's coming out of the ATM. Like she's thinking about how is this ATM producing this money? What coding was used in here? Like, all those things. How do they maintain this ATM and all those things, So you are also, so I'd advise that you also do that as well. If you are studying to be a teacher, stand back and look at, okay, how, like in class, how is this going to be relevant for me? How can I apply this in real life? That really, really helps you a lot. That really helps you a lot as well, to understand better a topic rather than just singing the topic and not understanding how it applies in real life. And also in questions, they usually ask you about stuff that happens in real life. I know in my years of studying, we usually got questions about stuff that is happening like in the accounting world. So so it will help you if you've already thought about how is this going to apply in real life. Then when you get those scenarios, it's not foreign to you because you've already thought about it, and it will just make it much easier for you. The last tip that I have for you, which is number 10, is have a hobby. I used to play netball at university, and that was like the best time to just relax and like not think about like books and just enjoy, unwind. We need to appreciate that university or any higher learning institution is really not easy, and it's very easy to be drawn into data and or you end up like isolating yourself, or you end up being a loner, and then sometimes you go dilulu. So to avoid going dilulu is you need to have a hobby, you need to socialize, like you put yourself out there, play a sport, join an art club, join a debating team, do anything else that is outside of the books that will just help you to that will be like an escape for you. In that thought also, or in the same breath, don't let now your hobby be your number one. Now you are leaving behind the books. Now you are all about the hobby. Don't be that person. We know there are those people, especially in student politics, that just end up just being in the politics now, and then they leave the academics, unless if very you want. You aspire to be in politics later on, but as you can see now, they want people that are qualified and all of that. So I would rather advise you to focus more on your studies, put more of your energy, 90% of the energy go to academics, and then 10% go to your hobby, and so that you maintain that balance. at your higher learning institution. Okay, that is all I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure that you subscribe and press this notification bell so that you get notified every time I post a new video. Thank you so much for all the support that you guys have given me so far. It has been nothing short of amazing. I'm very, very grateful. And yeah, if you have any questions, please type them down below. I am very, very happy to respond. And then yeah, see you on my next upload. Mwah.